we went to the store, the garden store, and met some bikers that were, I would call, pro-style bike club people. They had come from Rosarita, so I guess they biked a good 10 miles or more to where we met, and at Les Missions, which is the mission house, the central one that was established here long ago, maybe 300 years or 200 years back. So right across the street, yep, there's the, and under the cliff face mountain. While we were there, we were talking with them, the bikers, etc., with about the new Sunrise Trail hike up, and they said that they had gone up the trail in their bikes, which is pretty impressive biking. Yeah. Uphill, downhill, steep, about 4-hour hike. So I don't think they're going to make it much faster on bikes, maybe somewhat. Nonetheless, a very nice man named Sergio and Jaime, and we exchanged our new Sun card and etc. So that was a very nice way to spend the morning. I spent $15 US on one kind of each type of fruit, more or less, and celery, beets, and other vegetables, and eggs, which is very good. I think in the US now, eggs are for a dozen, $7 a dozen, something like that, maybe more. Whole pineapples are $3 or $4 each. And, you know, I get one pineapple and one mango, and, you know, it's like a smorgasbord. So it's pretty darn good for that. And we talked with these gentlemen about the hiking trail and the high location that we were thinking of creating. What this is for a hydroponic, all-encompassing, energy-producing, plant growing, recycling, regenerating soil project, which will also supply energy, electric, hydrogen, and water, creating also. It's pretty fantastic, and that is something that could be built or a prototype, or if you will, made anywhere, and we would allow each of us, let's say, where we are, to be able to be self-sustaining and or at least for the most part, able to release oneself from an overhang of monopoly money condition. So I get to share that with you guys, and we'll see what happens. We don't have the plans and connection with that form as yet, but you know, that's all. Everything's available, and that's kind of the, let's say that's the idea. Everything is always available, and you just have to really want to be aware of it, and for whatever, you know, individually we are. And each one of these units, we'll call them, are individual units that would be worldwide or global. And they're building these, this company named Regena Tech is got links with, I saw about 10 spots on the map, and I'm pretty sure there was one in the Middle East, and Africa and other places like that. So that's it. Except for I wanted to share the Killers of the Flower Moon book that appeared, and it's a movie that I had suggested that might be interesting to watch here. It's a very long, 3-hour plus movie, and it's in the 1920s. The richest people per capita in the world were members of the Osage Nation in Oklahoma, native Indian. After oil was discovered beneath their land, they rode in chauffeured cars and lived in mansions. Then, one by one, the Osage began to be killed. Molly Burkhart watched as her family became a prime target. Her relatives were shot and poisoned. Other Osage were also dying under mysterious circumstances, and many of those who investigated the crimes were themselves murdered. As the death toll rose, the case was taken by the newly created FBI and its secretive director, J. Edgar Hoover. Struggling to crack the mystery, Hoover turned to a former Texas Ranger named Tom White, who put together an undercover team, including a Native American agent. They infiltrated this last remnant of the Wild West, and together with the Osage began to expose one of the most chilling conspiracies in American history. I will relate in numerous ways histories and part of being an Indian tribe in the Sioux Badlands, Dakotas, U.S., as one experience of this. Where I live now in Florida has the same kind where the slaves who were brought in from the Carolinas or that resided there or were brought African on the ships that were supplied by the U.S. Treasury. And so they, in the area I am in Florida, they evacuated all of the Indians from the area. In the county I'm in, they kicked them all out of the county. And then later, Andy Jackson, president, got rid of the Indians in the southeast and sent them to Oklahoma. Coincidentally, the location for this movie, made by the famous director Martin Scorsese. So the slave situation in the South Georgia, North Florida was severe and difficult. Working conditions, very hot, and they would take all the timber and put it on the trains or the transports. And the locals, the slave labor was used to do this heavy, super heavy, difficult, super heavy lifting, etc. And so those two and three parts of the world, Oklahoma included, in the U.S. that is all involved in this history. And also, though, I would say my experience in this lifetime has to do with the musician populations and artists that have been disappearing, and that's the local genocide activity that's occurring. You could name all of the famous ones, music-wise: John Lennon, Jimi Hendrix, Bob Marley, Prince, and Michael Jackson, and Elvis Presley, I would say as well. Yeah, sure, it didn't look like he was off, but the man was a dead man in his spirit by the time he had met the Beatles, who came to visit him once. And, you know, this whole thing of whatever you want to say is the same format. So we have to be careful. The people up there in the mountains who are inviting us, but also the head of the plant farm. What is the name of what they call those green power plant or plant?
Domes?
Yeah, well, it's a dome. There is a dome building part of it. Yeah. And the aqueduct and plant growth is underneath this big greenhouse, and it has a carbon fueled dragon producing energy and regenerating for energy the plant for soil. You know, all encompassing carbon fuel creating or producing and hydrogen power. So I wanted to say, though, that the prototype in the movie that we have shared is called the Green Food Revolution or Green Grow Revolution. And the 2-hour movie is really interesting. And what happened, though, is that the building caught on fire. So now they built a new one again, and they're operating the process of sharing it at the same time. But there is they're doing it in a way now that they know they need to be careful because we don't know exactly what happened to that original plant. But it is under suspicion, certainly. So without having proof, it doesn't matter. It's likelihood of lasers or other form of destructive activity. So I'll bring that full turn to one other thing. We watched a movie called Rebel Ridge, which was about a black man who is riding a bike and gets stopped by the police, who knock him down and then proceed to basically call him a criminal carrying $10,000 in cash, which they obfuscate. And it's about the crookedness of the local police department and its orientations of restrictions and control in every way that earns money in the monopoly program, same one that is part of the movie, and et cetera. The civilization catastrophes or histories going back to Atlantis, et cetera, and repeating history type of thing. Or maybe there's some development that we're all can be engaged in without having to make some kind of contractual arrangements, because it's obvious that this is something that's done in the real way. It's done by people just grasping the idea and going with it in their way. And that's the whole new UU, I would say, in some ways as well, because there it is. It's not about us saying you do this or you are that, and you know, the cow doesn't exist, and that's what you want to look for. Almost everything that we're doing. I mean, that's what I would say I would look for in anything. New you, new you, new you, new you, new you,
DUANU, WANU, 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 WANU.